Welcome to the 31st chapter of the book of Numbers. Israel wars with Midian. The Midianites were a people that were apparently all over from right outside of Egypt and all the way across into Moab. Covered a lot of area, but they didn't have a certain kingdom as the Moabites and the Ammonites and Edom, Moab, and Ammon were all more or less semi-countries at the time. But the Midianites were people that were all over, sort of like the Bedouin today. I'm not saying they're Bedouin, but being appearing in many of the areas. So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Let the sons of Israel avenge with punishment from out of the Midianites. And at the last you shall be added to your people." So we want to get rid of the Midianites, and then after that you're going to be dead, basically is what he's saying here. And I have a hard time with this chapter because it seems to be very terrible. As we go through it, you'll see something that just doesn't go along with the New Testament thought and our actions today in the 21st century as far as Christians go, but maybe other people's, it would be the opposite, that like to go to war. And it says here, and Moses spoke to the people, saying, now people here is Leon, the people, laity comes from that, completely arm your andros, men, android, derivative, and deploy before Kiriu against Madian, to render punishment by the Lord to Madian. Now here's the key to the whole thing. It's a punishment by the Lord to Midian. It doesn't say what the Midianites did to deserve this type of punishment that's going to happen, which is very terrible, but it's by God, and God punishes, sometimes lenient, sometimes without mercy. It says 1,000 from out of a Philis, a tribe, a phylum comes from that. Even 1,000 from out of a tribe, from all of the phylon of the sons of Israel, you send to deploy, and that's to deploy for war. And they counted out from out of the thousands of Israel, 1,000 from out of a tribe, 12,000 being armed in battle array. And Moses sent them 1,000 from out of a tribe, even 1,000 from out of a tribe with their force, and that's the military, the Nami, dynamite, derivative, and Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest. And so he was going to go along with the army. And the holy items, it doesn't say what, if it's the ark or other things, and the trumpets, and these would be the metal trumpets, to sound warnings, says in their hands for the signal, so they would blast certain ways to attack or to go back and so forth, go left, go right. And they deployed against Madian as the Lord gave charge to Moses. And they killed every male. We can add that to your English derivatives book. Arsenicone. We have arsenic. It's a strong, potent chemical. Like a male is strong. And they killed the kings of Madian together with their slain, the Travmaties. You can add that to the English derivatives book, a trauma. Evnin and Rukom and Sur and Ur and Rovek. Pentagon, 5. Pentagon is the 5-cornered building in the nation's capital. 5 Vasalis, kings of Madian. And Valaam, son of Beor, they killed by the broadsword with their slain. So apparently when Balaam went back on his donkey and went back to his people, when they were attacked and he was slain. And they despoiled the women now and of Midian, now despoiling them, raping them, killing them, whatever, and their belongings. And here's where it starts getting pretty horrible. And their belongings, and their cattle, and all the things procured of them, and despoiled their army, the Dinamine army force, in all their cities, in their dwellings, and their properties they burned by fire. And they took all the plunder and all their spoils, from man unto beast, and that would be as a slave. And they brought to Moses and to Eleazar the priest, and to all the sons of Israel the captivity. And that is the people and the spoils and the plunder. Now, exactly what a difference between a spoil and a plunder is, I'm not exactly sure. I should look that up. But into the camp in the wilderness of Moab. So let's go up here. So now it's right by Jericho, it'll say. So this is where they had this fight, right over in here, this area with Midian. See, now that's part of Ammon. Ammon is over here, but which is upon the Jordan by Jericho. And Moses came forth, and Eleazar the Aref's priest, and all the archon of the congregation, synagogue, and to meet with them outside the camp. So they didn't bring all these non-Jews inside the camp. And Moses was provoked to anger with the episcopes, the overseers. Episcopalian comes from that. Overseers of the dynamios of the army, commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, the ones coming from out of the battle array of the polemu. We have polemics, a war of words. And Moses said to them, well, why did you take alive every female? For these were the occasion to the sons of Israel by the word of Balaam of their leaving and overlooking the word of the Lord because of Peor. And so Balaam is tied into the Baal Peor, the place where these people were taken. The men was lured into having relations with the women of Baal Peor. And we mentioned this earlier in this chapter. And came to pass the calamity in the synagogue of the Lord, hear you. And now, kill every male among all the chattel. Now, as I guess all the males, even the young ones. And every woman who knew the marriage bed of a man, kill, the imperative. And all the chattel of the women who knew not the marriage bed of a man, take them alive. They will be slaves. And you camp outside the camp 7 days, everyone doing away with the soul, everyone killing somebody. They're unclean. And all having touched the one being pierced shall be purified in the 3rd day, and in the 7th day, you in your captivity. You have to go through the purification rites, these dead bodies and killing people. And every wraparound garment, and every item made of skin, and every work of a goat skin, and every wooden item you shall purify. They're to wash them, but they're to wash them, we'll see here, with the ashes, partly of the ashes of the red heifer. And Eleazar the Arefs said to to the men of the Dinamios coming from out of the battle array of the polemu, this is the ordinance of the law, nomu, deuteronomy, astronomy, nomi, law, which the Lord Kyrios gave orders to Moses. Besides the gold and the silver and the brass and the iron and lead and tin, everything which shall go through in fire shall be led through in fire and shall be clean. So they had to clean all these things that were owned by these non-Jews. But only with water of purification shall it be pured. And that was with the sprinkling of the red heifer's ashes. And all as many as should not travel through fire shall go through water. And you shall wash the garments on the seventh day, and you shall be clean, and after this you shall enter into the camp. So that was what they're to do, kill everyone, take all these things. Now how they're going to divide it all up goes through into the rest of the chapter, I believe. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the total sum of the spoils of the captivity from Anthropu, man, unto beast, you and Eleazar the priest, and the rulers of the patrimon, paternal, the fathers of the synagogues, the rulers. And you shall divide the spoils between the warriors going forth into the battle array, and between the whole congregation. So they're going to divide it. And you shall offer up the tax to the Lord from the men of the warriors going forth into the battle array. So not only they divide it, but then they take a part of it that goes to the Lord. One soul from 500 of the people, of the slaves, and from the cattle, and from the oxen, and from the sheep, and from the donkeys. So one, I guess. And from their half you shall take and shall give to Eleazar the priest the first fruits of the Lord. So whatever they took from the army people, then they split that up and they gave it to the Levites, basically, Eleazar the priest. And from the half of the ones of the sons of Israel, you shall take one from 50 from the people, and from the oxen, and from the sheep, and the donkeys, from all the cattle, and shall give them to the Levites. So the first part, apparently, from the army, that went to the priests, and the people's portion, so much of that went to the Levites, guarding the watches in the tent of the Lord. And Moses, and now not every Levite was a priest. The priests were of the sons of Aaron. And the Levites were others than the sons of Aaron. There are other people that were Levites other than Aaron. Moses. And because he was a brother to Aaron, but he was not the priesthood of Aaron. And Moses and Eleazar, the priest, and that was Aaron's son, did as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And came to pass the surplus of the plunder which the warrior men despoiled from the sheep, 600,000 and 70,000 and 5,000. So 675,000, that's a lot. And oxen, so this was a great battle and a great victory for the Jews. And oxen, 270,000, donkeys, 160,000. Now, when they were you have to look at the Hebrew letters and so forth, which I didn't do, and I mentioned how many of these Hebrew letters, which are all actually numbers also, are very similar. So it's a study somebody wants to do. They could actually go through and see if there are alternative numbers that could be used in these places if you took the other letter instead of the one that they think it is. Because one like a yo just goes down a little bit, and then the re goes across and down, and then ha goes down somewhat. All three of them are very similar, and depending on the handwriting, it could get them mixed up. And souls of peoples. Now I put peoples here because the ones left were just the women. So you could put the souls of men, but they were all killed. It says from the women who knew not the marriage bed of a male. All souls, 230,000, so 32,000 women, young women. And came to pass the half portion of the ones going forth into the war, from out of the number of the sheep, 300,000 and 30,000 and 7,500. That went to the army. And came to pass the tax to the Lord of the sheep, 675 from the army, and oxen 630,000, and their tax to the Lord, 270, and donkeys 30,500, and their tax to the Lord, 160, all the army. And the souls of the people, 6 and 10,000, and their tax to the Lord, 2 and 30 souls. So 32 people went to the priests. And Moses gave the tax due to the Lord, the separation portion of God, to Eleazar the priest, as the Lord gave orders to Moses, from the half of the sons of Israel, whom Moses divided from the men of the warriors. And came to pass the half from the congregation. Remember, they split it. Of the sheep, 300,000, and 30,000, 7,500, and oxen, 6 and 30,000, donkeys, 30,500, souls of people, 6 and 10,000. And Moses took from the half of the sons of Israel, the one from every 50 of the people and of the cattle, and gave them to the Levites, guarding the watches of the tent of the Lord, in which manner the Lord gave orders to Moses. And there came forward to Moses all the ones placed as the commanders of the Dinamios, the force army, commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds. And they said to Moses, "Your servants have taken the total sum of the men of the warriors with us, and not even one of them dissented. And we have bought the gift to the Lord, every man who found an item of gold, an armlet and bracelet and ring, and right armband and wreath, to atone for us before the Lord." That is, they gave it to the priests to atone, give it to the Lord. And Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold from them, every item being worked. And came to pass all the gold for the separation portion, which they removed to the Lord, 16,750 shekels, from the commanders of thousands and from the commanders of hundreds. And the men, the warriors, despoiled each unto himself. And Moses and Eleazar the priest took the gold from the commanders of 1,000 and from the commanders of hundreds, and carried them into the tent of the testimony, a memorial of the sons of Israel before the Lord. So everything has now been divided. Next chapter 32 will continue through the book of Numbers. I hope you'll join us and continue with us going through all these interesting things as Israel leads Egypt, coming into Canaan. Till next time, God bless.